Horace Cooper, can I give you the latest definition of white supremacy?
Please.
It's being a black lesbian woman who says she's a Marxist, who gets to buy 4 homes for $3.2 million, and when the truth comes out, it's only because of white supremacy. That's what BLM said. I have it here. If you mention the fact that Patrice Khan-Kulas just bought 4 homes for the price of $3.2 million, that makes you a white supremacist. So, I don't know, can I ask you to talk about this, or does that make you a white supremacist?
Well, I want to add that, by the way, we just found out that she was in the Bahamas recently and looking at a nearly $7 million property. That would take us over to nearly $10 million. And she didn't make a commitment to make a payment yet, but apparently she's loaded.
Now, this is why I understand this has all been blown by the Daily Mail, the Daily Wire. This is why I was going, why did they write it like this? I'm reading it right here. Snagging 4 high-end homes for $3.2 million in the U.S. alone. That's an interesting end to that sentence, isn't it? So I guess being a black, lesbian, anti-American Marxist is good business.
Or, as Karl Marx might say, DACA's for me, poverty for thee.
Are there going to be any ramifications for Patrice Khan-Kulas for this story?
I want to know if there's going to be any ramifications for Coca-Cola.
Oh.
When you give the kind of money that they have given to Black Lives Matter and not asked for any accounting whatsoever, it is remarkable. Now, as you know, Coca-Cola has decided that they're Woca-Cola.
We've been talking about it all day. Discuss this Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola, which, by the way, people haven't been paying attention to, is the single largest polluter among all of the beverage industry. When you want to talk about recycling, well, don't mention Coca-Cola because that's not where they are. If I had the record that they had of being the biggest polluter in the entire beverage industry in the United States, even globally, I'd keep my head down. I wouldn't want to raise attention to this. But instead, they have decided that it's okay to come forward and speak a lie out, support a vision that somehow black Americans don't have ID cards. Right. Black Americans don't have driver's licenses.
Or as Joe Biden said, black Americans aren't intelligent enough to use the internet to make a vaccination appointment.
Absolutely. This is bigotry. This is the worst kind of bigotry, and they are never called out for it. Guess what? In 2020, in 2018, and 2016, Georgia set records for each one of those years for the percentage of black people who showed up to vote. This is the most curious kind of voter suppression I've ever seen, where the number just gets higher and higher and higher. Now, let me just close with, blacks like ID, and one of the reasons, as I mentioned in my book as well, black Americans are interested in being able to have a government that is concerned about their interests. If you allow ghosts, convicts, and illegals to come in, what you end up with is sanctuary cities. Right. What you end up with is a New York State policy of giving $1 billion to people who are not in the country lawfully. What about the people who actually live here? And that's why when Proposition 187 was originally being voted on in California, black Americans were the highest supporters of this idea. The left wants to tell you something that is inaccurate. And the only way that these rules, whether it's H.R. 1 that the House is considering, or the opposite of the proposals that were adopted in Georgia, can be free to occur, is to not let real, bona fide citizens who live in the community make the decisions.
We're talking to Horace Cooper, following him at Project 21 News, also senior fellow with the National Center for Public Policy Research. I got to ask you this question, last question probably. If there are never consequences, if this woman gets to buy her next estate in Vanuatu or whatever, if Coca-Cola keeps plugging money into causes that have nothing to do with selling soft drinks, is the black community in America just condemned to constantly be preached at and never to have real representation? What is it going to take?
This is why the elections of 2020 were so consequential. There's a lot of evidence, that there was a significant increase in the number of black Americans, particularly men, who rejected the old progressive and Democrat platform. By hiding that with a lot of the manipulations, the scheming, and other things that were done with the election, we don't get a chance to see that, even as surveys continue to tell us what black Americans, as well as the rest of the country, think. The real issue for us is heading into the next election. How many black Americans who see Kamala Harris as one of the biggest reasons for their failures right now, this is what surveys are telling us, that the reason black Americans aren't seeing the job growth that we just saw for the last 4 years is because of the woke policies that they believe she's pushing in the Biden administration.
So the black America's waking up?
Black America has awakened. However, if we allow the manipulation of the election processes to continue, that is going to be hidden. The thing that I see happening is a major substitution is at work. You black voters can't be counted upon to vote the way we want. We need to bring in a new community who will vote the way we want.
Shocking, absolutely shocking. Find out more in Horace's book, How Trump's Making Black America Great Again. That's Horace Cooper. Follow him at Project 21 News, also with the National Center for Public Policy Research. I'm Sebastian Gorka. This is America First. Coming